Hello, record nerds and Glenn Danzig collectors of the internet. Today, we are comparing these two pressings of Samhain Initium. This is the first pressing, and this is a new bootleg, because the market has been flooded with bootlegs of all the stuff by the Misfits that have been out of print. Not the Misfits. This isn't the Misfits. This is Samhain. Hello, record nerds and Glenn Danzig collectors of the internet. Today, we are discussing the difference between this first press Samhain Initium versus this new bootleg from Samhain Initium that has flooded the market as of late. Let's talk about them. Let's see. Is this any good? Does this compare to this? This is like a $300 record. That is a $30 record. What should you buy? Let's talk about it.
Six in the morning.
Well, it is October, and I love to break out my Samhain records in October because it makes me feel evil and warm inside.
Well, I don't like to feel good. I like to feel evil. Oh.
So we're going to do this video. Again, this is the first pressing. How do you know this? It gets kind of confusing. The easiest way to determine, if it says Caroline down here, Caroline Records is the record label that had been putting out Misfits records and at one point the Samhain records for a long time, since the 80s. So some of those will have a Caroline logo down here. This one does not. That initially will tell you this was actually produced by Glenn Danzig, because no Caroline. And then how do you know the pressing? Well, that's a whole other thing entirely. So this, do you see how this has this like circle on the inside? If it's big, that means you have a first pressing. If it's smaller, like I'll show you on that one, that means it's a second or third pressing. But let's talk about the covers, because I'm always talking about how modern reissues, the covers are horrible. They're pixelated, they're gross, they look like they've scanned the CD covers in a very low DPI setting. It drives me crazy. And this is a bootleg, so this isn't even a reissue, and this is the original, and I'm going to bet from this distance you cannot tell the difference. In fact, even if you get up pretty close, you won't be able to tell the difference. Here are the differences. The picture is a little darker than this. This has a sort of a greener, redder sort of hue that might not be coming across as much. If you look at like Eerie Von's bicep, it's a little bit less viewable here than here. If you look at the writing on the front and the back, it is slightly less crisp, just slightly, on the reissue than the original. It's like a little softer and a little more smudgy, whereas on this it pops a little bit more. But if these two were on black vinyl and you didn't know that one was a bootleg, I would bet a lot of people will be fooled by these records. And it's a good thing that they're on weird colored vinyl, because a lot of people would get in trouble with these. Because look at this. They even redid the label. Almost exactly. The only thing I can see is that the writing on the label is a little bit bigger than this. There's a little bit more space between the end of the label and like the S in Samhain, whereas that is a little bit closer. And then this is also on this rather ugly color vinyl of green. So, yay for that. Because if not for that, these were on black. Like I said, a lot of people would be fooled. So as I was saying, this is like the smaller circle, whereas this has a bigger circle. So on the second and third pressings, it has more of one of these. On the first one, it has this bigger circle. That's how you can tell the difference between the first and second, and then the Caroline pressings. And then on the bootlegs, like I said, they're going to be on a weird color, and they're also going to have those issues with the color of the cover, as I've already stated. But man, they are close. They are close, which is good and bad. The only thing that I would have liked about this bootleg is if it actually came with the insert. Mine did not have an insert with it. Only some of the original pressings had one. Mine did not. This is going to sound really stupid, but every once in a while I'll open up to see if I missed the insert in here, because sometimes I've done that. Like, I have a pressing of November Coming Fire, and I always thought it didn't have the insert until maybe like a year ago, and I opened it and I'm like, oh, it does have the insert. I'm an idiot.
Stupid! You're so stupid!
So it's entirely possible that you can miss stuff like that, because I miss it all the time. But no matter how many times I open this, I'm not going to find an insert in there because there isn't one. Someone needs to make reissues of that insert so I can buy one, because I would like the insert for it, but I'm not going to spend the money necessary. So, no insert, no insert. But man, they did a really good job on knocking this off. Like, if this was a real reissue, I would say they did a really good job. And there's some conjecture as to where these are coming from. I'm on some Misfits Facebook groups, and someone had postulated on there that maybe Glenn Danzig, because the rights of these are probably kind of confused. When the Misfits broke off from Danzig, Danzig kind of got annoyed with Caroline, because I think that Caroline sided with the band, the Misfits, versus Glenn Danzig. So Glenn took his football of Samhain and took it away, and then struck a deal with some fly-by-night record company called Imagine, I think. And they're the ones who put out that box set, and then they reissued the CDs, which was all well and good until Imagine went out of business. And a lot of times when your catalog has become part of a bankruptcy or something of that nature with a business that's out of business, the rights of that become really hard to get back. And so I think that's where they are with the Samhain records, which is why they haven't been in press anymore. But I'm not entirely sure. So one of the thoughts is like, this is Glenn's way of getting around that, which is maybe true. And then so Erie Vaughn on one of the Facebook Misfits pages had said maybe Glenn is doing it, which doesn't help. Like, either say confirm or deny it, Erie. Don't just throw more confusion. So according to Erie, maybe he's doing it. I don't know. So let's talk about the sound of each of these. So the pressing of this is a little noisy, but this is a little noisy too because it's old and it's been listened to hundreds of times probably. And so it would be nice to have a clean pressing if they're doing a reissue unofficially, but that's not the case. This also sounds a little less loud than the original. And then everything kind of sounds a little dull. Not that it sounds bad. I think if you don't own this and you can pick this up for like $30, I think you'll probably be pretty happy with that. If not, I'd be surprised. But it does slightly sound like there is a blanket over the speakers, whereas this, it sounds a little bit more vivid. But not by much, because this is kind of a dark sounding record to begin with. In case you couldn't tell by the cover, it's a little dark.
This isn't your average everyday darkness. This is advanced darkness.
But I would be happy if this was a actually legitimate reissue. I think I would be pretty happy with that, other than the fact that it's noisy, which is kind of surprising. Originally, I thought they just sourced that from the CD, but it doesn't really sound like that. I'm not sure what their source was. I don't know if it was originally like just a needle drop, and maybe that's why it has extra noise, because they got noise off the original, so now there's noise on the new one. But for $30, until a real one comes out, I think that would make most people happy. I would not be too hesitant to pick that up, unless you absolutely abhor bootlegs, which Glenn Danzig does. So Glenn Danzig doesn't like that this exists, assuming that he's not the one putting it out. But I don't know how long I've had this for. Probably, I bought this probably in the mid-90s for $10, maybe less. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. So I think I'll just keep the original and sell the reissue. But by all means, pick that up if you don't have it. I will have videos pertinent to Glenn Danzig, Samhain, here, and here. Watch those. Also, like and subscribe. That would be really cool. I love that. Now go forth and seek the warmth of the Samhain fire. Have a good Halloween. Have a good day. May Danzig have mercy on our soul.
We went on exactly on this road. I understand that, but can we push it back a little bit? Why can't you do one after us? Because it's on the fucking lights on it. It's a place out here. It's all 6 hours on it. You motherfucker! Fucking it!
Fuck you, you cunt!